Today's session will focus on integrating Formtastic with your ERP system. Our next session will be tomorrow at noon and will focus on checks and ACH payments. And our final installment will be this Thursday at noon and will focus on labels and barcodes. You can register for these and more on our website at quadrantsoftware.com/webinars. Now before we get started, I just want to go over our webinar tool that we use, GoToWebinar. You should see an option to ask questions at the bottom of your GoToWebinar client. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use that window rather than the raise hand option. Now we won't be answering questions during the presentation, but we will have a Q&A session at the end with our tech team. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to submit them and we'll get to them at the end on a first-come, first-served basis. Now what you're going to learn on today's presentation is how Formtastic, which is our IBMI document modernization solution, can integrate with your ERP system to convert your ERP-generated spool files into professionally designed documents and to help you automatically export those documents to PDF or TIFF formats, then distribute them to anyone who needs a copy, and finally to archive them in your document management system or a designated folder on your network or IFS. My name is John Yoik. I'll be your presenter today. I'm the brand manager for Quadrant Software. I've been with Quadrant for 3 years, and in my time here I've gotten to see the various ways that our customers use Formtastic to modernize their IBMI-generated forms, checks, and labels. Now, Quadrant Software is an IBMI document modernization and distribution solutions provider with over 20 years of experience in the marketplace. We were founded in 1990 in Boston. We have over 10,000 customers worldwide, and we have an award-winning 100% customer satisfaction rating with a 98 Net Promoter Score. Here's a brief overview of today's presentation. We're going to review some of the major challenges businesses face with IBMI document design and distribution, specifically as it applies to spool files. Then I'll show you how to overcome these challenges with a brief overview of Formtastic, and we'll take a deeper look at our ERP integrations. We'll talk about ERP form types, our pre-designed forms and our pre-mapped forms for various ERP systems, and the flexible distribution and archiving feature that Formtastic provides. Then I'll jump into a very quick demo of our Formtastic design client to show you just how easy it is to customize and modernize your form templates. There will be that Q&A session at the end of the presentation, but again, feel free to ask your questions during the presentation. We've slated out 30 minutes for our presentation today, but I don't think it's going to last quite that long. So to get started, let's quickly review some of the major challenges with spool files. Many companies rely on IBMI-generated spool files for invoices, checks, labels, product lists, packing slips, bills of lading, timesheets. The list goes on. It could be a document generated by your ERP system, or it could be generated by your own custom application. Unfortunately, most IBMI documents are plain looking and don't have branding. You can't add logos, images, colors, or different fonts. One option is to manually copy-paste the data into a new document, but this is very time-consuming. And so is modifying the report or recoding the original application. In fact, recoding the original application to format a spool file is a very time-consuming development initiative. And in some cases, if your spool files are being generated from a bundle prepackaged application that can't be modified, that simply is not an option. Now, once the document is created, you still have to worry about manually distributing and archiving these documents. So Formtastic can help you overcome these challenges by enabling you to modernize your IBMI documents and automate distribution, as well as reducing costs on pre-printed forms and wasted print resources. At a high level, Formtastic pulls your spool file out of your output queues, merges it with a pre-designed form template, converts it to PDF or TIFF, then distributes it to the intended recipient or recipients and creates a copy for archiving. It supports a number of document types, forms, checks, and labels. It includes we offer a formatter module that allows you to reformat the source spool file to create a new, better looking and better formatted spool file. You can remove empty space and blank lines, concatenate lines to reduce print area and page count, and reformat the spool file layout for just general better usability. Formtastic allows you to design customized, professional, and polished form overlays in a PC-based editor. These overlays automatically merge with the spool files as they are generated in IBM I. You can add graphics and branding such as company logos, customer logos, different colored fonts, tables, headings, boxes, lines, and barcodes. Object data can be set to appear based on conditional rules. You can merge in images and signatures to your forms. Formtastic can integrate with any untethered signature capture device, including iPads and iPhones. Then it automatically merges the image back into the form before saving and distributing. You can also set up Formtastic to automatically retrieve additional data in DB2 based on field data in the actual spool file without recoding. Formtastic can take the final form and output it to PDF or TIFF file formats. It can then automatically print, email, or archive in a simple directory or file away in your document management system, such as Gauss, IntelliChief, RVI, Vanguard, Westbrook, or any custom document management system. Formtastic also integrates with our enterprise document distribution and fax solutions, QuadraDoc V from Quadrant, and Catapult from BCD. These are both powerful enterprise-level distribution solutions for faxing and emailing that can greatly enhance Formtastic's native distribution. And of course, the real beauty behind Formtastic is there's no actual coding required to implement any of the functionality we've talked about. It's actually really easy to create and manipulate the design templates, and I'll show you how in a few minutes on the demo. Here are a few additional features that Formtastic supports. We've gone over a few of these already, but there's a couple more in here I think you'll find interesting. You can set up conditional rules to change images based on location, company, division, or any other spool file data. You can set it up to automatically include a signature, but to have the signatures only appear when certain conditions are true. Maybe you have a purchasing manager who wants to manually review and sign every purchase order over a certain dollar amount. You can also add barcodes and, of course, distribute and archive. So now let's talk specifically about how Formtastic can integrate with your ERP system to modernize and improve the workflow of your ERP-generated documents. So these are some of the most commonly consumed ERP-generated documents. For accounting, you have invoices, statements, credit memos, accounts payable checks, employee paychecks, and gift certificates. For sales and operations, you have purchase orders, work orders, order acknowledgments, quotes, job estimates, and fax cover sheets. For distribution and inventory, we've got packing lists, bills of lading, labels, including barcode labels, even nutritional labels. And for medical and human resources, you've got healthcare forms and insurance forms. All of these documents have something in common. They are tied to a critical part of business operation. These documents need to meet some of the following requirements. First and foremost, they need to be usable for their intended business goal. They need to include the minimal required data to achieve that goal, and they need to be easy to read and digest by the end user. They'll need to be distributed to the end user or whatever the final destination is. Many of them will need to be archived in a repository, such as a document management system, and they may need to be retrieved at a later date. And the document format and layout needs to be consistent with the organization's brand. So with Formtastic, we offer a huge number of pre-built layouts that are pre-mapped to popular ERP systems, including Oracle, Infor, DataVantage, VAI, JD Edwards, PeopleSoft. Formtastic will also work with any IBM I application or ERP system that outputs spool files, including SAP and Sage. Just to give you an idea of the wide variety of documents Formtastic can support, let's take a quick look at this PDF with a handful of our spool file ready templates. Let me just minimize out of here. So this is our e-business forms pack, and I'll just scroll through it quickly so you can see we offer a large number of documents. Whoops, get rid of that. Bills of lading, more bills of lading templates, paycheck templates, accounts payable, employee paycheck, payroll checks, more payroll checks. Now we have healthcare forms, credit memos, and insurance forms, more insurance forms. Invoices, lots of different invoice templates in portrait and in landscape format. Job estimates, fax cover sheets, order acknowledgments, sales acknowledgments, pick lists, purchase orders. Lots of purchase order and packing slip templates. We have quote templates, price quotes, general reports, sales orders, statements, work orders, and even barcode labels and nutritional labels. So that's just a brief sample of the large number of different form templates that we offer, and this is one of the many different forms packs that we offer. So back to our presentation. Let's see if I can get this to work here. Bear with me. Let's see. There we go. So we can integrate with any IBMI spool file generated by any application. We have a large number of pre-mapped forms for many large ERP systems, including PeopleSoft, Infor, the number of different Infor ERPs, Commercialware, B&L, Micron, and Vormatag. We also have a large number of pre-built forms that support drag and drop mapping. These include all the common ERP-generated forms like invoices, statements, packing slips, bills of lading, everything that we've gone over so far. We also have a checks pack, which includes a number of different check templates, and we have a forms pack for taxes, which includes a number of common used tax forms that's updated every year as tax laws change, including W-2s, W-3s, 1099s, and 1096s. So the real nice thing about our forms packs that are pre-mapped is that all the fields are pre-mapped to the ERP standard output spool files. That means you can start modernizing your IBMI generated spool files in almost no time. You just point it towards point Formtastic to the output queue and tell it where that spool file is going to be generated by the ERP, and Formtastic will automatically grab that and merge it with the pre-designed template form. And once the document is created, we have a number of different ways to determine who gets the copy and how it's distributed. So you can define the recipient a number of different ways. The most common way is to dynamically pull the recipient information right out of the spool file itself. If the recipient information is not included in the spool file, you can define that information in your ERP to be directly passed in the spool file. The distribution information, which could be their email address or their fax number, that can be included on the spool file page content or in a separate header spool or page in the spool file that only contains that distribution information. Or you can set a static recipient or distribution list from within Formtastic's design editor. And finally, Formtastic has strong document archiving features. We can pass along a parameter file with each document in order to integrate directly with popular document management systems, including Gauss, IntelliChief, RVI, Vanguard, Westbrook, or you can customize the parameter file within spool data for any other document management system. We also save to a network drive or directly to the IFS and can dynamically build folder hierarchies based on in-spool data. All you do is specify the output file path to include directory values equal to the spool file data. So say you want a folder that has all of your documents from 2014. And underneath that, you want all your folders sorted based on the customer name. And under that, you want all the files sorted into folders based on the document type. Well, you can do that simply by telling Formtastic to include in-spool data in the output file path. It's as simple as that. And with all that said, I'm going to show you now a quick demo of our Formtastic design editor. Looks like by my clock we have 12:17, so I'll spend about 5, maybe 7 minutes on the demo, and then we'll hop over to our Q&A session. Okay, so what we have here is the Formtastic design editor. And if you notice, we have 2 windows. One is the source spool file here on the right, and where I can click, drag, and select spool fields. Several fields have already been selected, highlighted in blue. Over here on the left, we'll see a field that is analogous to what the output form will ultimately look like. Here we've got boxes and lines and different colored font. It's easy to use to create lines and boxes and other objects using the commands on the left here. So I can create a box or hit delete to delete it. A lot of functionality is very similar to Microsoft Word Suite, where you have Control Z or Control Y to redo or undo. Now let's just to show you how quick and easy it is to create these boxes with this kind of branding style here. What I'm going to do is delete this out and redraw it. So what I do is I click and drag a box, and then I can right-click and go to Attributes, or I can just double-click it and modify the attributes right here. And so what I'm going to do is change it from black to blue. I'm going to give it a light shading. I'm going to give it rounded corners, rounded corners, all corners, and then I'm going to shadow top left. And that created that same box. But notice there's only 1 box. I need 2 boxes. So what I can do here is actually create an attribute called repeat, and we can repeat the item horizontally or vertically. So here I'm going to repeat it horizontally and add about a 1/4 inch spacing, and it effectively cloned that object and set it to the left of this. But if you'll notice, it's not actually a separate object. It's all one object. So we use that same functionality to create these boxes here, these row shading. We just repeat the shaded object as many times as we need to vertically. So if you'll notice now that the text that was behind it is not visible. So let's send it to the back, just like in Word, and there it's lined up correct. Now it's layered correctly. So what we also want to do now is bring in our sold to information. So what I do is I click and I drag the area that will contain the sold to shipping information, or I'm sorry, the sold to address information. With my left button depressed, I bring it over here and I unclick and I create spool file text, and it created the text over here. So now what I need to do is get it to follow the same formatting as this style over here. So that's pretty easy to do. I need to find out what this is. This is Arial Bold 12. Okay, so what I can do is I can either double click it, go to Appearance Attributes and change it there, or I can just go to the top here and change it there. So I'm going to change it to Arial Bold, font size 12. Done. But if you notice, they're not lined up correctly. So what I do is I select this, and then while holding Shift, I select this other object, and then on the right-hand side over here, we have some align functionality. I click Align to Top, and now they're aligned at the top. What I'd also like to do is line this up to the left of that blue button, or this blue sold to highlighted box. So I select them both, and I select align left, same here, align left. And actually this isn't quite as large as the other, so I can just click and drag to make it about the same size. Or I can do Control Copy, delete the other one out. I can send to back, and then send this one back as well. There we go. Now I can line these up, line middle. And this font needs to be lined up as well. Good. Oops, let's move that over now. Move that over there, align left. All right, much better. Okay, so now we've got all the data in the header that we need, but we also need some more actual spool file content. Some of this this order information, or quote information. This is actually a quote, so we need this quote information over here. We're missing the item part numbers. So just like I did with the address, I select the area that needs to be pulled over, click and drag, release, and there we go. I can use the arrow keys to position it, but again, we have the wrong size, the wrong shape and sized font. So let's take a quick look at this other font here. What we've got is, this is letter Gothic bold 15, but there's another attribute which is the vertical spacing, which is the space between lines. That's 0.16. I need to make sure both line up. So we'll set this to letter Gothic bold 15, and we'll set this to 0.16, and it lines up. Now I just need to, it's spaced correctly. Now I need to line it up with this, with a line top. There we go. It's all lined up, looking good. I'll line that to the left of the part number word. And the last thing we want to do is bring in an image. We want to bring in the logo. So what I do is I hit Mona Lisa, the Mona Lisa icon here, and I click Add. And now what it's doing is asking me to browse for an image. And what we're actually doing is pulling an image off of the iSeries itself. So I'm going to use my sample image that I use for demos. It's downloading it from the iSeries now, and there we go. Done. So now what will happen when we merge these when the spool file is created, it will get merged with this template, with this form, and it'll output a form that looks like this. And you can do it in PDF format, and I'll show you that right now. Actually, I should have that folder open. Well, the PDF that is output is identical to this, and then you can have it saved to let's exit out of here. You can have it saved to your document management system, or you can have it emailed, or both. So real quick, let me show you the different document management systems we integrate with. We have defaults. I'm sorry. We have parameter file settings set to integrate directly with Westbrook, Vanguard, RVI, IntelliChief, GOS, or you can set your own. And when the PDF is output, or you can have it set as a TIFF to be output. When the file is output, it will create a parameter file that has the information that you need associated with it for the index. Now, the file name can also be specified to include information from the spool file. So in this case, I have, if you'll notice, I have some backslashes here. And what that does is it actually tells Formtastic to create a folder hierarchy based on this. This last thing is the actual file name. That's a default setting. And then here, we're going to, when we create it, we're telling it to put it in this folder, and in that folder, create a subdirectory called account, a subdirectory folder name equal to the account number. So the account number would be 1245. So when this form is turned into a PDF, it's going to be dumped into a folder called 1245. And then underneath that, and then the file name will actually be whatever the system generated name is. And the last thing I'm going to show you before we switch back to our Q&A session, whoops, cancel. is how quickly and easily you can set up the distribution. So here what we have is the fax email options. What I do is I add a recipient, and all I need to do is add the email address or fax number, but in this case we'll just do an email address. Just do email@email.com and whatever the company name is. So now whenever this form is merged and created, it will send a copy of it to email@email.com. Alternatively, I can tell Formtastic to pull the email address directly out of the spool file here based on this, whatever I set the start and end position to. So if your customer's email address or your email address or user email address pops up in the same spot on your spool file, you can tell Formtastic to grab that email address off the spool file and distribute it to whoever that person is. So that's it for the demo.